I'd like to shed a light on the power structure of parenting and help you break down the whole dynamic between parent and child and power. Children are born into complete dependency and vulnerability on us, and that we have the power to keep them safe, to give them affection, to give them touch, to see them as separate human beings, to feed them and clothe them and guide them and keep them safe. I mean, that is common knowledge. And yet, so many parents feel victimized by their children, even their 2-year-old, even their baby, especially their teenager. They feel controlled by their child. Does this sound familiar? I mean, every parent goes through this. Every parent gets triggered into this. I'd like to talk more about why that happens. I'm Rathia Lee. I make videos about non-coercive, collaborative parenting, moving from authoritarian patterns to something more collaborative, easeful, playful for everyone in your family. It's a whole field of study, so I hope you'll watch my videos and learn with me. Okay, I'm a trauma therapist, so I'm coming at it from a trauma lens, okay? When we're kids and we're born into our families, our parents are wounded, the world is wounded, we get hurt, we get forced, we get ignored, we get neglected, but things happen in the world, people get sick, all kinds of stuff happens, right? And we have to adapt as children. We are completely dependent, and as we get hurt, we have to adapt. And one of the main feelings that causes trauma is powerlessness. We feel powerless, we are powerless as children, and really painful things happen to us. And here's something weird and interesting, is that we actually merge with our caregivers. So, for example, let's say you have a parent that's yelling at you all the time and telling you that you're a selfish brat, that you never help and you're not good enough and you're bad and wrong and ugly and something's wrong with you. You're getting yelled at and blamed for things. What children do is we actually take on that energy, we imprint it, and we run it on ourselves. So we internalize it, right? This is how we internalize oppression. Then we run it on ourselves as a way to control ourselves and make ourselves better so that maybe our parent will love us better, will meet our needs better. If we can do everything that they want us to do and we can do it first, maybe they will shift and they will love us. It's how we feel powerful. Actually, taking on criticism and trying to fix ourselves is how we get a sense of power. Does that make sense? It takes a while to understand this, but we internalize judgment, criticism, punishment. We internalize it. Then we do it to ourselves. This is why we have a self-hating voice and we grow up. Our parents are long gone and we're still hating ourselves all day long, right? Because we've internalized it. It's not always our parents. Sometimes it's our peers. Sometimes it's the oppressive systems of society. We internalize it, okay? Then we have a child, and the child is born and they are full of needs and they have their own will and they push and they pull and they demand and they require so much of us. And usually, in every case I've ever seen, we start to feel the powerlessness we felt as children. Often we've been pushing that away. We have all kinds of addictions and all kinds of strategies to never feel that powerless again. But now we have a child that is triggering the powerlessness from our childhood. And then you know what happens? We activate all of the self-hating programs that we used to activate when we were feeling young and out of control. And then we project them onto our child. Our child is making us feel all of those old things. So then we start to feel our child is our oppressor. Oh my God, I just had to get that out. I've been trying to say that. People project their oppressors onto their children. I feel like this is so obvious, and this is how generational trauma and abuse and, emotional abuse gets passed down. It's not always abuse. Sometimes it's just very, very codependent, dysfunctional patterns, okay? Gets passed down to our child because they make us feel things. It activates our old programming, and then we enact that onto our child. Does that make sense? So when they make us feel the feelings we never wanted to feel again, we then use all the strategies we learned on our child. Here's an example from my life. I was not allowed to feel angry when I was a kid. I was not allowed to express any anger. That would make my parents very upset. I would get punished. I would get spanked. I would sometimes trigger an explosion in my parents. They're telling me not to get angry, and then they get angry, right? Anyway, I get in very big trouble, and I learned early on, suppress your anger and act very sweet and nice. Otherwise, you're not going to get your needs met. And remember, I don't have the power. They have all the power. So I have to get rid of my anger in order to get the love that I need to survive, okay? I grow up, and of course, the child I have is full of anger and rage because so many kids are. Also, I'm controlling, so she's responding to my control. This is before I became non-coercive. And she becomes like a tantrum monster, an explosive tantrum monster. And of course, I'm conditioned to shut that down. It triggers all of my stuff to shut that down. That would be my inclination, is to say all the things to her that were said to me. Calm down, go to your room, that's not okay, it's not okay, shame her, blame her. Instead, I had to learn to sit with the helplessness and powerlessness that my daughter was triggering in me, and to feel it without acting on it. Then, of course, I had to get support and help to work early on the feelings I never got to feel. I'm saying a lot of things that take years of process to undo, but I just want to dismantle how it works within us, how it works externally with our children. Our children are never victimizing us. They are never victimizing us because we have all the power. That's why. And when you really start to see that, everything will change in your parenting. And this is the underbelly and the bedrock of becoming a non-coercive, collaborative parenting. If you force your children and use your power to force and control them, you will recreate what was done to you. That's how it works. And I wanted you to see that because this is the first stepping stone in starting to take apart your punishing, you're giving consequences, and you're forcing in your parenting, the thing that is creating separation between you and your child, because all that does is create separation. That's all it does, and it gets worse and worse over time. And as long as you're blaming your child for your feelings, those will get worse and worse over time as well, especially as your children get more powerful in their lives. Naturally, they get more natural power. Suddenly they have a car and they have friends and they can leave and they can say, screw you. And, they start to have natural power. That's when things can get really problematic. So I invite you to start investigating your power and how it works. And this is what some people call childism or adultism. And this exists in all kinds of oppressive systems, but it's somehow with children in childhood, it's people take it for granted. They're like, yeah, you can control and punish your child. That's normal. I don't think it's normal. And that's my whole mission, is to help parents see that they're actually not getting what they really want, which is closeness with their kids. Hope this is helpful. Thanks a lot for being here. There's so much more. Come back. I'm here for you. Wild storm child.